Hey, people. We got a bunch of churches down here in the South, most of them's in Mississippi, where the preacher dances with snakes. And sometimes it gets bit. People been doing this forever. People been dancing with snakes. All the spiritual leaders was dancing with snakes. And, Christians will think, well, it's just because the people down in Mississippi just ain't that bright. But actually, they're just a little bit brighter than the rest of the Christians. And some of them meet Jesus before others. It's ancient practice. Everybody was doing it in India, China, Egypt, Pakistan, Africa. It was happening here in America too. And where they get them snakes is they go herping. That's what it's called. When you go turning stones over looking for snakes, it's called herping. And this comes from the ancient Hebrew, the creepy things that crawl around, the Hermes. And when I say it, it's because they're a little bit brighter. It's because they know that Yahweh, God of Israel, is a serpent. And if you want to reveal Yahweh, God of Israel, you have to go of the herp. You have to go turning up some stones. Looking under the stones is where the Yahweh, God of Israel, lives. The Yahweh, God of Israel, is a serpent. They try to hide this by giving this word many different meanings. Despise, defy, taunted, reproaches. But, it's also revealed a couple times. To revealed. And you see they have a whole bunch of different spellings, but that's what's in all of these spellings is the herp to, in herp from, herp. They'll say it means to rail or to insult. So yeah, these dumbass rednecks down here, they read the Hebrew just a little bit better than the rest of them. But they still don't quite get it, And I'm pretty sure that this word is not Yahweh, and this word is not God, and this word is not Israel. And they believed all that, and they knew this word meant herp. And that'll be coming up in a movie, and I'm going to show you how they get the God out of that aloe here. In that last movie, I showed you where I found here in 2 Chronicles 32, and it was talking about the witch's broom ride, who sail, you hemlock, the wicked caller of Gabriel. And so I went to read this chapter, and I got up on the top. And sure enough, that's what this whole chapter is talking about. Going to herp you up some stuff to take a broom ride. And if you missed my movies on the broom ride, I got 5 of them, and this one's going in that folder too. How to fly a broom. I'll show you where it's talking about this witch's broom ride in the Bible. So if you're not catching this, you might want to come over here and check out this folder and catch up. They're having a hard time trying to hide this story of the Vessensharian. And it's the first time I've seen them, and thinking, who yammer. This is the same word, and God said, and now it's just thinking. They're having a hard time forcing a meaning over this. And you can see when it gets down to the end, it's all about, Vessenshari and itches fi who. When you get down to the end, you can see that you can find this written in the visions. They were having visions in the visions of Isaiah. And this word vision is here, the V-I-S and the B is in. And they'll give it to dwellers. And it's the first time it come up, the wits of in Mulpin. Mulpin is Assyrian astrology. You who is in is the vision. It's the dweller. You who is in bears. And you see it a little different here in Chronicles. It was, it was the vise by. And so in these visions, B-Y, the V-I-S-E-B-Y, They would get their advice by these visions, the stars, the inhabitants of the heavens, device by. And that's where the base word of vision comes from, devise in. You look over here beginning line 12, and this is your word Halloween here. This is where it comes from. This is EVA, Eve. And that's where your word Halloween come from. It comes from Hollow's Eve. And this is hollow. And if you look at it, it's stuffed in a list of words that actually have an extra U in them. And it means not. And as in something is hollow, it's empty, it's not full, it's hollow. It's where that comes up. And what it actually means is the sun's falling south of the equator. And it's, E is the, and then L, and that dot there is O-A, L-O-A. And that means low, and the A is power, the low power. And then the eve is, the connection between the wall and the roof is the eaves. The connection between the low power eve to begin. You might read that the low power have. And with this tack here, it's the low power and then AV of who, of have, the low power of have. And then itches phi issue. And reading the upper set of marks, and that's what this is, IHZ is itches. And itches is an ancient word that means coming on. Oh, I could feel a storm coming on. My corn's itching. Itches. It's coming on phi issue. And so FI issue is your children, the issue. And these markings have you reading this FI, and that's the feminine, the daughters, and IEAE is ES, IESU, the phi issue. Phi is the daughters, where Philly come from. The phi meaning water, the feminine. It's where your word fine come from. Refined or finished, or the sharp of a fourth note, a fifth flat. And, hollow of Eve itches. Halloween is coming on, and phi issue, and your daughter is her at. And then backwards and forwards, the Wittam, W-I-T-A-M, the Wittam, and then O-V, the Wittam of motive. And your daughter is at Wittam a motive. What? And then with of, W-I-T-H, and then the dot above the H says O-V, the with of ism. And your daughter is her at with a motive, with of a motive. What with of ism, of a belief, of is them, is of ism is a bitch, the B-I-H, the bitch it to. The bitch it to is the one that goes on the altar, the bitch it to. Why yammer? Who says? Who yammer? Lie, who would, H-U-D-E, who'd, who would, the lie, who would, willer, W-L-I-R, willer us all, A-L, willer, the lie, who would willer us all, Jerusalem, we all gonna lie with her, us all La Mior, the dots up there, is I-O, L-A-M-I-O-R, La Mior, that's Latin, it's nicer. La Mior is nicer. That's what you call your wives, nice, in the Hebrew. And it's also where your word love come from, lemor, amor. And said lie, who would, will her a solemn, nicer. And of pen, P-N-I is to place. And the nicer, of place from Izzybich, from cut in divide, M-Z-B-H, from cut in divide is the place where the altar, where you cut up the sacrifice. And it is Ms. Bitch, of Penum is bitch, tied to the altar. And ahead, like a H-E-A-D, the number one, the head, the top. Ahead to a sit, I chew. T-A and then U-S, to use it, to is sit, and O-H-U-U, I chew. And God sneezed, I chew, and out come all the stars. And so, to pin 'em is bitch ahead, to use it, stars, and alive, to pithera, and alive to pither. Pither is things that aren't important, a life that's not important. And on it burn incense, and alive to pither to. Hollow of Eve itches fi a shoe. Is there at with'em of a motive? What with of ism is a bitch it to? What within ism is a bitch it to? Well, that show is a bitch. Who yammer? Who says lie? Who would willer us all? Will us all from la amor of the love of the nice to make nice of Pinum is a bitch ahead to us it a shoe and alive to pither to. So if you don't get it, it ain't nothing to it, Even back in the day when people still understood this language, it was still difficult, and people had to chart it and to show their ideas in pictures because they had a hard time expressing it. But they did have a whole lot better idea of what it was all about than we do today. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.